All right, everybody. Just seems like my slides aren't projecting. That's okay. You know, when you're ready, when you have it up here, you're ready to go. So my name is Gail Francis Johnson. I'm delighted you all selected to be here this morning. So we're going to talk about what you do after you have your LLC. And while I picked that topic, it was, you know, a lot of people go get their business bank account, you get your EIN. You might even start to be making money. But there's a lot of things you need to do even after you get your LLC. So quick question. How many of you guys, as we like to say in our business, have revenue, you have traction? Or how many people are just in the ideation stage and you're kind of thinking about it? Okay, show of hands. How many have traction, revenue, etc.? Thanks, Bonnie. Okay, and I know you, yes. And then how many people just kind of think I want to be an entrepreneur? Okay, that's wonderful. Guess what? You're in the right place, either case. Because regardless where you are, you're going to keep growing, you're going to scale, and you want to be always coming to things like this that help you grow to and go to the next level. But the reason I thought about what you do after you get your LLC, and you guys who haven't started yet, this is even better, you're going to do it right from the beginning. How about that? Because a lot of times when we start going out in business, anybody ever read the book, The E-Myth? Well, you need to pick it up. Because it's one of the books that kind of happens how people kind of become the accidental entrepreneur. And what I mean by that is, you bake great cookies, and everyone starts to tell you you should sell your cookies, right? And then you start to sell your cookies, and you start to like the little cookie money, right? And then you decide, I'm going to make a business. And you might start doing that at some scale. You might go to Second Street Market and things like that. But you never put yourself in the place to grow and be the manager of the business. You never put yourself in the place to be an entrepreneur that can build a team, because you became the accidental entrepreneur. And if you're not very intentional about that, you'll stay at this scale. So is it okay with taking your passion about building cookies or being a website developer and scaling it? Absolutely. But if you really want to take it to the next level from being just a hobbyist, you have to start thinking about a business from day one. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's the little things. One of the things that people do, particularly when you are at this stage, they don't properly segregate your resources. And what I mean by that is, even when you start to smell that first cookie, you shouldn't be doing it after your own small business account. You should immediately have your own separate banking accounts. Why? Why? This is going to be interactive, guys. I'm not going to lecture. Protection. Exactly. Protection, IRS guidelines. What else?
So you can track it?
So you can track it, absolutely. So that you really have that segregation of your activities. So you want to do it legal. So you have this idea. You want to make sure you go get your EIN. Anybody know what that means? Yeah. All right, you are. What does it mean? Or what is it? Exactly. And that allows you to do things as a business versus with your what? Social Security number, right? So after you get your EIN, and it's super easy. You can get that in one day. The IRS sends it to you, and you have it for life, right? Mm-hmm. Now that allows you to go open a business banking account, okay? And you really need to have a business banking account. Why? Protection. This is her word, protection. Protection from what? Exactly. Separation of your business and personal things. And it's amazing, guys, particularly now with Cash App and Venmo and things like that, that people don't do that. Cash App and Venmo is not how you want to do your business. Now, I'm not going to vote you, but anybody been in the Cash App track? Yeah. Okay. It's very easy because people want to just Cash App it, and it's not that it's not legitimate. How many might know the new rules are going to happen next year about Cash App and the IRS tracking?
They're already coming out.
Right.
I got an email the other day.
All right. Tell us about it.
What's the email? It was stating I still got it probably. Just basically tracking every single thing.
It used to be that you didn't get a 1099, if you will.
If you pay out a certain amount to a certain individual, or it's coming from a certain individual, it's being monitored.
Exactly, because the IRS and the government sometimes is slow to catch up on trends. But guess what? They have data collection where they can go back and do some look backs too. Okay, so suddenly you've been in business in 2022, and this year you get a 1099 said that you had $20,000 in Cash App payments in this tax year. Do you think the IRS think you might have had something else in 2021 and 22, et cetera? Yeah, exactly. So that's why we want you all to start doing it right from day one. It's nothing wrong with Cash App and things like that, but it's not really business etiquette. It's not really business etiquette. So,
What if you want to, okay, so because you can connect Cash App with your banking institution, why can't it just go directly into your business account? Why is that a bad thing?
you're right. If you're sweeping it into your business account, you can. If you sweep it into your business account, you can. But what we normally see 9 times out of 10, people aren't doing it. They set up their original Cash App as gail@me.com or whatever it is, right? And I'm just doing it that way, and I'm not sweeping it into my business account. So if you do that, sure, because you want to make sure you have the right business profile. Okay, good question. Anybody else on that follow-up? Okay. But you're right, there are payment platforms that you definitely want to use because we are in an electronic age, right? How many people write checks anymore? Rarely, right? We do our debit cards or online banking. But to write a physical check, we don't do that. So you're right, we have to recognize that people do pay us with digital processing, but we want to put the systems in place that our money is tracked appropriately. Okay, one of my other quick ones, if you guys would say, hey, I'm going to get an email today and let's set up an appointment. How many of you have a professional email? And what do I mean by professional email?
It's
It's .com. What else? But it's really that you got the domain name for your business.
Right.
And it's not gailjohnson@gmail.com.
Right.
What's wrong with Gmail? It's great. Why is the Gmail not the optimal that you want to be gailjohnson@gmail.com? Why not? It's personal. And then if I go to make a bank loan or bank application, those little things do speak to my business profile. So if you decided I'm going to be Gail's Donuts, I expect you to have gailsdonuts.com for your email. So I want you guys to think about these little things on how you're presenting yourself. Is there such a thing as business credit and personal credit?
Yes.
Okay, so what's one of the first distinctions between business credit and personal credit?
Would it be using your EIN
Yes,
versus your Social Security?
absolutely. It's using your EIN versus your Social Security. So when the bank is going to pull up your records, they're going to go to the Secretary of State location. And that Secretary of State is going to say when you created your business, and everything needs to be correct. You don't want to have your home address on one document and your business address on another, because those kind of things, when they're pulling and talking to each other, will kind of be out of sync. So sometimes you have to do a good audit of your paperwork, because originally in 2020, you had this little hobby idea, right? And you sent your paperwork out to the Secretary of State, you used your home address, and you've forgotten about it. Question?
On that.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas, like I want to do a home business, but I don't want to use my home address?
Great point, and I don't want you to either. I want you to go at least at a minimum get a virtual address. A virtual address. This is a great place where you possibly could have a virtual address, because that's showing you as a business. The other thing, when you file your Secretary of State, in the unlikely event that you might have a lawsuit or something like that, the address that's listed on the Secretary of State is where your correspondence would be sent. And say in 2019 you started your business, you used your home address, but you've moved. So that's why you want to have an agent listed, like an attorney or someone like that would always receive your correspondence.
What about a P.O. box?
P.O. box is not optimal. It's okay, but it's not optimal. Okay? You really want to make sure you have a statutory agent. Write that word down. A statutory agent. A statutory agent will do this for even a modest fee, maybe $125 a year, that they will receive your correspondence. Okay? So go back and look at your Secretary of State filings, and if you still have, number one, make sure it is a good address, right? Okay? But if you've moved since that address, make sure you update it. But optimally, I would really strongly to encourage you to get a statutory agent to be listed.
A hub, a statutory agent?
No, a statutory agent is normally an attorney.
Oh,
Okay, statutory agent would be an attorney who receive your correspondence.
okay.
Okay?
So you want to use mailing address. Like my business, I'm leasing a space. Just in case I decide that I'm going to relocate, I still
And we're going to
use that
relocate because
mailing.
we're going to get that money, girl.
Yes.
Yes, we are. She's in my cohort for the preschool promise. We're going to move.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. But you need to do an audit of your business records at least once a year because most of us started small, right? And we're going to use our home address. So virtual addresses you want to consider here at the hub. There could be places like, the UPS office, and there's other places as well. That goes into your business profile and how you're projecting yourself. So you want to have a virtual address, not your home address. You want to have a professional email address, not a Gmail address. It could be Gmail-based, guys, so you could have it all in one background. All mine are Gmail-based, so I just go into one thing, but it's Gail Johnson at cognitions.com, Gail Johnson at talent1.com, but it's still behind the scenes Gmail based. Okay, you just pay a little money for it. I mean, modest amount of money, $5 a month, something like that. But it matters. It really matters with your professional image. Okay? Then we're going to segregate our resources. Business banking and personal banking have to be totally separate. Why? Protection, but it also lets you maximize your deductions. Did you drive down here today? Was this a business expense? Did you track your mileage? Did you keep your receipt for parking? Did you have a luncheon with her to discuss business? Those are legitimate deductions, but you have to be able to document it. So think about all the things you did this month. Did you document it? Don't have to, so just think about it. Because one of the benefits of being your small business is being able to legitimately write off some of your expenses.
So let me ask you something. As far as writing off the expenses, so if you have your personal income taxes versus your business income taxes, you can combine those.
So most likely you're going to have your 1040 tax return.
Right,
Then you're going to have your business Schedule C.
right,
Okay, so that's where all your businesses
Maximize.
are going to be there.
right. But you can shade.
Oh yeah, when you definitely
your personal-
consolidate it, when they say what your total liability is. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, you're going to have your business Schedule C,
Okay,
and it's going to say that you either had a profit or a loss, and just say you had a loss, which losses are okay.
yes, they are.
Then that can shelter some of your W-2 earnings or shelter some earnings from your spouse, significant other, et cetera. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And most of us do start as an LLC, and then when you get to the next level threshold of income, you might consider a sub S. Okay, but probably going to start most of it as an LLC. Okay? Bonnie took my computer, so I'm just kind of talking now. But segregation of your business expenses is so critical. And no one likes to do accounting, right? I'm an accountant by trade. And I'm a reformed accountant because when I first graduated from accounting, and I have no regrets about ever being an accounting major and working for a big accounting firm, but I knew I didn't want to be an auditor. Nobody likes auditors. But nobody likes auditors. But accounting is necessary. And counting lets you know where you stand, how you're making money, and how you can grow your business and go to the next level. And if you're only doing your financial statements once a year on April 15th just to send it to the IRS and say, how much do I owe, you're doing yourself a disservice. You should be looking at your finances every single month, sitting down with someone and reviewing them and seeing how can we do this better? Where's my money going? QuickBooks and all the things that you can do. Anybody use Wave by chance? Wave is owned by QuickBooks and it's totally free. So if you don't want to invest in QuickBooks right away in that monthly subscription, Wave is a good option for you as well. Okay? So tell me some of the things that get me a feel for the kind of businesses you guys are considering.
Consulting.
Consulting, okay. Let me just go around the room. Consulting?
I run a theater company and I'm working on becoming a therapeutic musician.
Okay, very good.
Hi, educational consulting,
Edu-
coaching firm.
And coaching.
Senior music connection. I'm going to hire a music therapist.
Music therapist, very good. Okay. How about you, sir?
Real estate development, construction, and architecture.
Okay.
Specialty retail barbecue store,
Mm.
barbecue supplies.
So, supplies. Okay, very good.
Engineering consultant.
A lot of consultants in the room.
Nature-based early childhood education.
Nature-based early childhood. That's interesting.
So mine has a plethora of things, but I guess I'm kind of a consultant with education. But right now, my business more is tutoring, mentoring, and grant writing.
Okay, man, good. That's all. We need to have a cohort here. We need to have a cohort and do some networking, because that's if I would say what's the value of coming down here this week, Startup Week, it's networking. Networking. And it may not be something that comes today as a contract or something like that, but it may be that little light bulb that comes off. You know, I met her and she talked about music. I met her and she talked about childhood, and she has a particular nuance that she's doing with nature-based. So definitely get a lot of cards, meet a lot of people, don't be shy. How about you?
E-commerce stores on like flags, shirts, things like that.
Okay, very good. Aaron?
Manufacturing, 3D printing, and investment casting.
All righty. Are you all together?
Education, a place for reading, K-6, all about reading resources.
Oh, this is so exciting. Wonderful. Yes, ma'am.
Supportive services for age 55 and plus.
Okay. What type of supportive services, like home health and?
No, from entertainment to job placement.
Okay, very good.
Teaching health,
Okay.
health and wellness.
There's a couple seats up here, young ladies, if you'd like to join us. Come on. It's exactly 2. And we were just kind of talking a little bit about what kind of businesses we're contemplating. So I'll let you get settled.
Am I next?
Yeah. You're going to round us out.
I'm actually running a couple of my own right now, but I eventually plan on moving and focusing mainly on my custom designs. So like tattooing, custom art pieces. I do like business cards, t-shirts. I make custom costumes for models. I do
Wow.
makeup, special effects makeups, photography,
Okay.
big wide variety of
Sounds good.
art stuff.
And last but not least.
Well, right now I don't have much going on. I'm an entrepreneurship student, so
Oh, really? Here at University of Dayton?
yes.
Okay, good. So what made you choose that as a degree?
Well, I like graphic design, so I want to start a company and use graphic design, maybe like a graphic design firm.
Okay. Well, good. So I'm going to ask everyone, when we are in this building and an entrepreneur center, particularly those who kind of start out, we have this term that we use called MVP, minimum viable product. And when I was listening to you in particular, where you have a whole plethora of things, sometimes we do need to kind of narrow it down and focus on what is our minimal viable product to get us to the next level. You know, to get us some traction, to get us some revenue, to build a business plan around it, as well as to maybe, if we think we need capital and be bankable, et cetera, we have to be able to show that we're focused. So it's good that you might have a lot of talents, but when you go in and talk to a banker or sitting across the table, it's probably good to be precise and be able to rip off 2 or 3 things that you're really, really good and focused at. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you? So I want everyone to write down and jot down for me, what is your minimal viable product? What is your top seller, top shelf? What is your minimal viable product and that you relate to as what you're bringing to the market? It doesn't mean, because what can happen as a small business, you can be busy, doing a lot of different things. But if you're not really focusing and harnessing your time and resources and what have you, because we all have limited resources, time being one of them, but most of us have limited resources with money being one of them as well, right? Because capital is not just unlimited. So if you can narrow it down to say, I'm really going to focus on these 1 or 2 areas, and I'm going to be so intentional about those, that really helps you elevate your business to the next level. So is everybody kind of thinking about what that minimum, especially in consulting? I'm kind of guilty of that myself because I'm an ideal person. And if I hear something like, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I can probably do, and I probably could. But what am I kind of abandoning at the same time that already probably has more roots and more traction? Because your time commodity is one of your most important things that you have to focus on, okay? So I want you to think about what is my minimum viable product that I think I can take to the market and get some traction. Get some traction. Because anybody think they're ever going to be to the point where they have to do a raise? I mean, you're going for venture money, or do you think you're really kind of, looking for mainstream, going to kind of grow your business organically? Probably more organic growth. When I talk about venture, everybody knows what I mean? Venture capital?
I do a little, but explain some more.
Okay. Like, come hear me tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We'll be on the main stage with Joshua Reed, which is one of my clients. So Joshua Reed had an idea. Go visit his site, Influ. Influ, okay? So Josh had a business from day one that we knew we needed to scale because he wants, and never ever, if I hear any of you will ever say this, but I'm going to say it for example, never put in your pitch deck, oh, we're going to be the next Uber, or we're going to be the next Facebook. Everyone just, oh, that's cringe. Do not say that. But I use that here to say we knew he needed to have a platform that was going to have to go across the country. So we were going to have to raise money. And so we got his MVP. Last year we raised $500,000, and now we're on a raise of $1.5 million. That's venture. Okay. And what's the downside of venture? You give up equity. So you no longer have 100% of your company. Okay, so you have to decide, do I want to be my own destiny, call all my own shots, or do I sell off a little piece of my company and I have other people that are also kind of involved in my decision making? Go ahead.
So that's why I started an LLC versus a nonprofit, because I didn't want to deal with a board making my decisions.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm so glad you brought that up.
yeah, I was like, no, I've been on enough boards. You don't get anything done, and they don't share your passion. So my question is, what's the main difference between venture and nonprofit? Because people are still like have their hands in.
Well, venture means that someone has equity ownership. I mean, they have a percentage of your company. It's 100% of the pie. Now, you used to have 100%, and now you gave 20% to this investor.
But you may not know them.
You may not know them, but you certainly vet. You would vet them. Yeah. But I'm so glad she brought up the nonprofit question, because I hear a lot of people saying, I'm going to start a nonprofit, and there's this perception that there's just manna from heaven coming down with grant money. And it's not. It's not. There's some out there. But if you're going to try to do your business 100% based on grants, that is not a sound business plan. A grant could be something to supplement. A grant could be something to help you maybe launch to get to the next level. Here in this beautiful Entrepreneur Center, when we work with our high-tech companies, they're assigned an executive in residence. We give them some financial support every year, maybe ranging from $10,000 to $15,000. But that's maybe 1% of their whole budget. They're not dependent on that. That's something else. So if you're going for a grant-based scenario, that's not the foundation that you want to work within. Okay? All right. So nonprofits are for nonprofits, or for social justice, for doing some type of cause. As you point out, you definitely have a board that you have to report to, and you are not autonomous by any shape, even if it was your original idea. I give an example. I was in the original, anybody familiar with Dayton Contemporary Dance Company? Okay. I was in the original, Geraldine Blunden went to our church. Okay, so I was, Geraldine School of Dance. I was in the first, DCDC. But one thing I'll never forget and learn from Geraldine is why we had Geraldine School of Dance, that always kept her to have something independent for herself. And then we had Dayton Contemporary Dance Company that she gave to the world. Okay, so when you're setting up your businesses and things like that, particularly when you're a founder and something with passion, think beyond the immediate. Think about the way that you're going to govern yourself, and think about your own safe hold, because a board can vote you out of your own business. Yeah.
We've seen it happen.
Yeah, a board can vote, so you've got to be very, very careful. So these are really good topics and straight talk. So let's talk about marketing a little bit. How many people have developed their social profiles? Okay. How many people are consistent with their social profiles? If you're like me, I did it one day and then I post for a few days. And if I go back and say, wow, I haven't posted anything since 2019. So if you're going to start social media, you need to start to really define which platform is the best for your business. So I heard a lot of people say consulting. Which platform do you think might be best for consultants? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok? LinkedIn. So if you're going to start to master one, start with LinkedIn. If you're doing something artistic, maybe an event-driven, Instagram or TikTok might be good because you can demonstrate some things. You know, you have a lot of video content and things like that. But whichever it is, you want to make sure you're very consistent, that you're very consistent with doing it. And Aaron and I were in a workshop a couple of weeks ago. Aaron, tell the class what we learned about what you should be doing with your Facebook or any social media, how you should, I'm not going to put the words in about, but documentation?
I don't know. You're going to say you need to convert your
No worries.
followers to customers.
Okay. Well, what she would say, thanks, Bonnie, for trying. What she would say would be, like, just say I was going to be on social media today. She would say I should be recording myself today. I should be documenting what I'm doing today and then posting that. So if you're going to be consistent, anytime you're out and about and you have an opportunity, just put this on record and post it. And then, you know, she gave us a great tip. She said, even if it's awful, just put it on, you know, time lapses real quick, and it'll look pretty good. So think about easy ways to document what you're doing, okay? So this is definitely where, you know, like the hairdresser who doesn't get their hair done. I'm not saying something I do, but it was a really good tip, and I thought that was excellent. So at least I have my PowerPoint back so I can at least guide myself what I wanted to talk about.
So do you recommend, because I don't have it right now, a website?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. For a variety of reasons. Back to the business banker. If you go into a bank, whether it's brick and mortar bank or whether it's an online application, they're looking at your business profile. They're immediately going to Google you. And they're immediately going to say, how long have you been in business? I know you've been in business a long time. How long?
20 years.
20 years. And she has a wonderful, stable business. But I'm shocked that you don't have a website.
When it comes to the technology, I'm just not
But
tech savvy.
And so what we have to do is build a team. We have to build a team. And guess what, guys? Every single one of you all should register with the SBDC, right here at the SBDC. You go in to the SBDC and you say you want to get a website. They will connect you with some marketing resources. Okay? I'm sorry. You know how we all get into our acronyms? Sorry. A Small Business Assistance Development Center. Yeah, Small Business Development Center. They're located right here. It's an access to so many resources. A consultant, help you with their business plan. I always like to say, though, they're not going to do the work for you. Okay, so say you're going to work on your business plan. You'll have a meeting with a consultant. You'll tell them what your business plan idea is. You'll go back and kind of carve out the bare bones of it. They will critique it. They'll give you some feedback, etc.
Are they the ladies sitting right?
They're here for sure. They're here for sure.
'Cause I think I actually spoke to them.
Yeah, they're definitely here for sure. And so this hub should be your lifeblood to just about everything you want to do in a small business. Whether you want to do something small, whether you want to be in the marketplace down here, whether you want to raise venture capital, whether you want to get connected to social media, it's all under this umbrella. Aaron.
There's the Entrepreneur Center and there's Small Business Development Center. Like,
So,
is there a hierarchy there?
so the Entrepreneur Center is the umbrella. Then under it, we have different components. The SBDC is a component. The ESP program, which is for tech-oriented businesses. So think of it as an umbrella. But then there's the Greater West Dayton Incubator. Anybody familiar with the Greater West Dayton Incubator? Okay. So Greater West Dayton Incubator is another component that's targeting African American businesses located within Dayton. So sometimes, and then of course there's what Belinda Stinson and I work at the chamber with what we like to say with our grown-up businesses. You know, businesses that are over $1 million or greater. We work with them with access to contracts, access to capital, and access to consulting. But there's a place for everyone. I really want you all to get that. Go around to every one of these tables. There's a place for everyone. Is anyone seeking planned debt capital right now for any reason? Anybody looking for a good low interest loan? I'm going to throw it out there. The application is due by the 23rd of this month, but the ECDI currently has a loan for 2%. 2%, and the amount of the loan is given based on your credit score, and it's for working capital, period. It doesn't have to be for buying a backhoe or what have you. It's a really, really, really good deal.
Can you just apply and see like what amount of loan?
The amount of the loan, they sent me the criteria is purely credit score driven. And guess what? The lowest credit score is 590. The maximum one is like 6 something. I was shocked. It's not even in the 700s. So it's ECDI.
When you say the deadline?
It is the 23rd, next week.
And what did you call it? You said planned debt.
Planned debt, meaning that, you know, a lot of times when you go apply for something, it's going to say, hey, what am I going to do with it? You're going to tell them I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
This is pure working capital.
Okay, so you don't have to do like the huge booklet. Okay.
You just have to upload documents.
Okay, and what does, I'm so embarrassed, what does ECDI stand for?
You know, I don't remember.
No,
But I know they have a pamphlet over there at the small business table with the city of Dayton and what have you. It's an ECDI pamphlet over there.
Good.
ECDI. Okay, ECDI. It stands for, I'm pulling it up. But here's the ECDI. Anybody have your phone?
Economic and Community Development Institute.
Yep. And they have a current, truly, 2% in this interest rate, you could just about tempted to arbitrage it, right? I was. 2%. Don't you get my bad habits. But no, it's a beautiful program. Here it is right here. Inflation relief program through September. Interest rates are capped at 2% for loans for Ohio small businesses. And the beauty about this is it's $20,000 for businesses who have been involved, established for 2 years or more, and $10,000 for startups. So even if you're a year or less, $10,000.
So now the 2 years.
So ecdi.org. Okay, everybody got that? ecdi.org.
The 2 years or more, is that just like you have to have it registered with the BDUC?
The first thing they're going to do is look at your state of Ohio registration.
Okay.
Yep.
So
And
that's one thing that I've not gotten to yet.
okay, so that's the reason I'm just saying basics will hold you back. Basics will hold you back because sometimes you can't take, it's $100 to do it. It's $100 to do it.
And the EIN, that's another story, but you can get discounts. I got a discount, which I paid a fraction of the cost because I don't know why they do discounts, but they did one.
And that's about my pet peeve sometimes. We can't take advantage of things because we're not ready. We don't have our package ready. We're scrambling because, okay, this grant came out and my taxes aren't current. This grant came out and I don't have this. So, you got to make sure your back end's in order. You have to make sure your back end. This is one of the sweetest deals I've ever seen.
It is.
Ever. And I've seen a lot of stuff being offered. This is one of the best.
They're not asking questions.
You got to upload your tax returns and things like that. I'm not trying to say they're not asking any
No,
questions,
I
but they're not asking business plans. It's pure working capital. Pure working capital. It's not saying, tell me what you're going to do, how are you going to pay it back. It's credit score driven. $10,000 small biz startup, $20,000 established. So check it out. Check it out. And it's reputable. It's a good company. It's legit. Okay. All right. So now I want to go back to my PowerPoint so I can at least guide myself. All right. So 7 things to do after your EIN. So you want to apply for your EIN. You want to open a business banking account. If you have any contracts where you originally contracted as Gail Johnson, you want to contract in your LLC's name. Okay, everything from henceforth is always in your business name. Non-negotiable. Okay? Then you want to consider trademarking your business name. So getting a patent attorney or trademarking something can be expensive, but at a minimum, you want to go to the United States Patent Office and do a Google or search, I shouldn't say Google, but do a search on that site to make sure the name you're thinking about is not already in use. Anybody know Jerica Hoskin, our Carney Coil Care? Anybody know Jerica? She's one of our big success stories. Yeah. Okay, Jerica used to be called Crown something or another. I can't remember. And Jerica had not searched her name across the entire United States. She wrote to the people, wanted to buy the name, and they were very unreasonable. Jerica, even though she was doing by this time maybe $2 or $3 million in edge control, her big seller, we had to repackage her name to our Carney Coil Care. So whatever name you're in love with right now, go to USPTO and at least make. Yeah, that's what it was. It's the little things, guys, that will end up costing you a lot of money. So if you're in love with that name and it's already in use, find another name. But do that research right now. You can't spell it different. Like one of my business's names is Cognitions, my cognitive training company. It's Cognitions instead of Cognitions. We got that trademarked. Okay? Yeah. So a variation or something like that you can do, but you want to make sure you can own it. And then the next simple investment is go get that GoDaddy $9.99 domain name. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. You want to do all this from the beginning. Get your name and your branding ready.
If you have, when you get a website and they ask you about the domain name and you have your domain name, is that national? Do you still need to go to US?
Those are two different things. The domain, so that's a good question. A lot of people might have the domain name and you're using it, but someone else may have it registered.
Yep.
They don't tell you.
Yeah. So yeah. Then you want to.
What is the GoDaddy?
GoDaddy's a place, probably one of the cheapest places to buy a domain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's not the only one. Yeah, for your website. Then you want to draft your team. Everybody needs to have the big three. Who are the big three? That's one. Accountant, that's the second one. And a lawyer.
What was the first one?
We got the accountant, CPA, and a banker. Oh, banker. I'm sorry. Those are the big three. You want to have a big three. You want to have a relationship with a banker, an accountant, and a lawyer. And relationship with a banker is what I really want to stress. Plenty of people, we found this out during COVID, guys. When the PPP loans came out, we had plenty of people who had been depositing money in the banks for decades, but did not have a banker. When PPP came out, if you had a banker, your banker called you to say, we're going to help you apply for the PPP loans. The first round, I don't mean the second round, the first round, your banker called you. So tomorrow, the next time you deposit a check, do not do it online. Walk into the branch and introduce yourself to the branch manager. Or go around these tables right here and meet you a new good person. There's a great person here from Fifth Third. There's a great person from Wright Pat here. Develop a relationship. Why? Because when you apply for a loan, you need someone in that room who can advocate for you, who can take your story off the paper of just being a 790 credit score, being in business for 20 years, etc. Someone that knows your character, someone that knows your story, someone that can talk about you with passion. So I'm telling you, a lot of people have a bank, but they don't have a banker. So think about it. Next time instead of you're just going to take a picture of that check and do it, hold it. Walk into the bank, introduce yourself, and find out who is that branch manager. And if you can't find a good connection with him, and you really think it's just saying, spend another $50 to close it out, get some new checks, and go to a new place. You need a banker.
What happens when you develop, try to develop the relationship with the banker and the banker relocate? Because like with Fifth Third, their branch managers, they circulate from Cincinnati to Dayton.
They do, but if they're still within the Fifth Third umbrella, you probably can still work with them.
Okay.
Or, you might want to say, introduce me to the other person that's taking your place. Yeah, you bring up a good point, because my person that I loved, which was at Key Bank, she did move to another role, Marion, but I still stay in touch with her via email.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me ask this, do you have, what would be your referral as far
Say-
as banking?
Depends what kind.
Startup or existing that's not getting what they need?
Okay, so one of my favorites for people that need to maybe repair their credit. Say you've had some issues in the past and you might need to do some little credit repair, is First Financial. For two reasons. They're very easy and fair. If you need any kind of like rebuilding of your credit or anything, why I always pick First Financial is they might have a product where they lend you $200, for example, even. But they'll take that and start reporting that positive credit experience for you.
And their business accounts are like $100 to open up. It's very easy and fair.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have any kind of credit enhancement, any kind of growth you need to do, First Financial flat out is probably one of my favorite. If you also think I'm kind of a credit union kind of person, I like that small kind of thing, I think Right Pat and Day Air are really good because they have a business side as well. But you can't forget about the biggies. You can't forget about PNC, JP Morgan Chase. I'm partial to JP Morgan Chase. My daughter works there. And PNC. But they're hard to work with. You know what I mean? Chase, if you open a new big business account, you at least have to keep $1,000 in to not have fees and things like that. So do think about that too. Okay? But you definitely want to have somewhere that you have a banker relationship. So if you all do nothing else, when I see you maybe at another event, I'm going to say, who's your banker? Who's your banker? Okay?
Is there any recommendation you'd have for like a consulting business for any type of a banker?
I'm going to say I want to introduce you to Jeffrey out here at Right Pat. Two reasons. He used to be at Huntington Bank, so he's been at a big bank and he knows all the kind of products, but he's also back here in Dayton and he's here today, and he's really, really good. So check him out, Jeffrey over there at Fifth Third. Okay. I'm sorry, at Right Pat. And then as far, there's no one better at community engagement than Maria at Fifth Third. Maria is going to be sponsoring the pitch contest tomorrow, so if you don't know Maria, get to know Maria. Okay. And then, but you want someone you're comfortable with. You have to be able to let them know about your warts. You have to let them know, in 2019, I messed up my student loan. In 2000, my husband did this, and the other. You have to feel comfortable to tell them the truth. So that's why I call it a relationship. You have to feel someone you're comfortable with. Some people feel better with talking to a male versus a female, etc. You have to just kind of see what your heart tells you. And if it doesn't feel right, go to the next one. There's plenty of them out here. But as far as institutions, First Financial, I think, has the best rebuilding credit kind of programs for institutions. Okay. Then things like pay providers like PayPal, Stripe, and those kind of things, you want to set those up too. Okay. We talked a little bit about that. Okay, so how many people are just working from home, or how many people actually have an office? Home? Okay, all right. And that's fine. Why take on extra overhead? But if you are working from home and you have a dedicated space, you want to make sure you're doing that allocation of how much of that square footage of your apartment or your building, et cetera, is eligible for writing off. I'm giving you all my other PPP war stories. When we were trying to get people to apply for PPP during COVID, one of the criteria was, even if you were home-based, did you have that deducted on your tax return? And if you didn't have it deducted on your tax return, we could not allow you to get the CARES Act $10,000 grant. So it's little things again. If you are working at home and you are taking legitimate business space, you got a 1,000 square foot apartment, one room is 200 square feet, that 200 square feet can be your allocation.
I have a weird question.
Yeah.
It can only be in a building.
Pardon me?
Can it only be in a building?
in nature-based education, my classroom and my office is outside.
I'm not, I think so. It has to be a building. Yeah, I think it has to be in a building. It has to be in a building. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Here's a funny thing that a lot of people don't do. Audrey, how am I on time?
You're good.
Okay, good, good, good. Everybody give Audrey a hand. If you don't know Audrey, she's the brains behind this whole thing. All the emails, all the beautiful pictures, all those things, that's all Audrey. She's an amazing person.
Aren't we amazing? I'm Audrey too.
Okay, so your Dun & Bradstreet number,
Yes.
D&B. Why do you need a Dun & Bradstreet number?
What does that mean? Contract.
Well, for two things. Dun & Bradstreet is what kind of is your business credit profile. It separates you. So when you want to start applying for things without your social, one of the first things they're going to ask you is for your Dun & Bradstreet number. It's free. So you want to go on Dun & Bradstreet. Great point. I'm sorry, my PowerPoint. D-U-N, Dun & Bradstreet. And then it's also sometimes just abbreviated as your DUNS number. But apply for that too, because when you're starting to project your business credit, your DUNS number is going to be pulled up, okay? And you know, you want to start having some little small business transactions to build your business credit. It could be something like Quill. It could be something like Office Depot, places that you know that are reporting to Dun & Bradstreet. So that's a whole nother topic on business credit, but it's out there. And you definitely can buy things without your social if it's set up correctly. You really, really, really can. And there's people who might have really bad personal credit that can establish your business credit. It's not the easiest thing, but you can be doing it. Another thing, believe it or not, still make sure your business is listed in 411. So it's searchable, okay? Information, you know, basic information.
You can use Yelp.
Yep. Before Google. That's right, I'm showing my age. Okay, so if you are doing business on your e-commerce site, et cetera, you want to make sure it is integrated with some type of payment platform, like a Stripe, like a PayPal, et cetera. And this year, guys, it used to be that if you were doing business on those things, it really didn't get reported to IRS. I don't know if it's this year or definitely in 2023, anything over $600, you're going to be getting a report. It's too big a business now. And it's probably going to trigger some investigation for some people because suddenly they're going to have a big report and they probably weren't reporting prior years. Don't put yourself in that position. So when I did this workshop last time, it was April 13th or something like that, right before tax day. And we were talking about if you weren't able to file your taxes that day, make sure you at least file for an extension. Extension time is rolling around now, October 15th. So 17th, is it fall on Monday or something, or weekend? Okay. So the point about extensions and this point about your taxes is if you can't do it, get in the system. Avoidance is not the way to go about it. When I used to buy real estate, it was something, a telltale sign you could always see when you would go in a house. Unopened mail. Unopened mail is a sign of people avoiding things. They're just not facing their demons. Okay? So in this new environment, you know, if it's something you're behind on, pick up the phone and start working on a workout plan. You'll feel better, they'll feel better, your stress level will go down, etc. Sometimes when you're trying to establish credit, apply for a very small loan. So even if you don't need it, you know, apply for a very small loan, $200, $300, something like that, so that you start showing that payback experience, okay? And then if you have had some challenges with your credit in the past, you can make sure you maybe even go for a secured loan. Does everybody know what that is? Secured loan, where you take your $200, you give it to the bank, they put it in a savings account. Essentially, they're relending you your own money, but at least they're reporting to the credit bureaus. So that's a way to get started. Yes?
What about your business credit card?
Same thing. Yep. Now, your business credit card, like most of them say, if you have a Chase Freedom account or something like that, they will pull your personal credit, but it will not be reporting on your personal credit report if it's a true business account. They're going to pull your business credit, but it's not reporting on your personal credit report. Okay, so you don't get any, benefit from that. Now, it's probably reported on the Paydex and things like that. And even with Equifax and Experian, same things that are used for consumer credit, but they have an entirely different division for business credit. Okay? All right.
Is there a better way to check your credit other than Credit Karma? Because I know Credit Karma, they check like Equifax and stuff, but the banks check other.
Yeah, it's different things. It's funny. Nearly all now your banks, you'll see it on TransUnion and what have you, that they give it. The different thing is, depending on the type of loan they're going for, they have different, different branches even within FICO that they will go for. So necessarily if you go to the bank and you said, I pulled it myself on Credit Karma and it says 690, and then suddenly they tell you, well, no, it's 670. It's because they have different algorithms for different products.
Run into that.
They have different algorithms for different products.
Shows like 740, and they're like, oh no, it's actually like a 710.
And yeah, so the biggest influence, and this is one of my loves, is teaching about credit. The biggest thing to be able to influence your credit overnight is if you have credit cards, make sure your outstanding balance is less than 25 or 30%. That is one of the biggest impact on your credit score. First is how long you've had history. Number two, how well do you pay your billets on time? But the thing that you can change overnight is your credit utilization. So say you had a $1,000 line of credit and you've been keeping it out at $800, but you're ready. Okay, I'm not applying for a loan. It doesn't matter. But I'm ready to apply for a loan. You want to bring that down to 30% optimally, 25% perfectly. But if you're not applying, it really doesn't matter. But when you're ready to apply, give yourself 60 days to move down your credit utilization. This is my favorite one. When you're starting to invoice people, I want to get my money as soon as possible. So as soon as I send my invoice, I send a W-9 with it. I send them an ACH payment form. Hopefully that they're going to pay me via ACH versus a check. So get in the habits of from day one, when you send your contracts out, you send your W-9, you ask them, will they accept ACH payments? Everybody knows what I mean by that?
Yes.
It's going to drop right in your bank, right? Instead of going snail mail. Why does that matter? Cash is king. Cash is king. And when you start to be able to have to make payroll every week or pay your vendors and everything, having your money 2 or 3 days earlier is gold. So get in the habit when you're invoicing to always send your W-9, ask for ACH, and negotiate terms. Negotiate terms. Trust me, don't be afraid to ask. Okay, how many people think they really ask for their value? And I'm going to say it, women are probably the worst. I invite you sometimes, you guys, go on like the county's website and under the resolutions where you see awarded contracts. And I have this on my screen share. I'll never forget, I was doing some research and I saw this pay scale, and they had their senior executive that they were billing out at $385. And then the second person was like $200. So I'm like, man, I'm not paying enough for my time. I kept that on my bathroom window. And the next contract, I bumped it 50%. And no one blinked. No one blinked. Most of the time, we don't charge enough for our services. So I've been saying, just go look. Like on the county, when I was looking at awarded contracts, and I saw consulting services were going for X, and I was like, I'm doing okay. I'm trying to charge it as so-and-so. I was leaving tons on the table. And if you don't ask, you don't get. So research. And women in particular, we don't charge enough for our value. So anything that's a public contract, the city, the county, it's public information. They have to tell you what they paid your competitor. They have to. It's the law. You can get a Freedom of Information ask. So use that to establish all these consultants. When you said, okay, $50 an hour sounds great, and you see someone else is charging $250 because you're thinking hourly. You're not thinking about how much time it took you to put together that PowerPoint and all those kind of things. So I really want you to go look at to see what the market will bear. And then if you're light on something, get another certification or something like that to be able to say why you should be going at that top 3.